What are your craziest babysitter stories? Either with you being the babysitter or the baby. I'll go first. Hi Reddit guys. Subscribe now, or I will order 10 pizzas to your home now. One time, when I was 12, I caught my babysitter, who was probably 17 at the time, smoking a joint. I had no idea it was pot. I just thought it was a funny looking cigarette. Anyway, she told me not to tell my mum, but I just stared at her blankly. Then she got really red in the face and nervously said, "If you promise not to tell anyone, I'll let you see my boobs." I got all excited and embarrassed and bashfully agreed. I've told many of my friends throughout the years, so I ended up breaking the promise. Was babysitting this little girl who had issues sleeping when her parents weren't in the house. Parents told me she could sleep in their room to comfort her. Child discovers giant dildo and gives it to the basset hound thinking it's a chew toy. Have to chase down basset hound to retrieve vibrating giant dildo. Don't know what to do with dildo. Place dildo on child's parents' dresser. Tell child to never speak of this night again. I was babysitting my cousin. I can only imagine how awkward the parents were when they saw the dildo in a different spot, with teeth marks on it. Oh dear God. A neighbor from up the street used to babysit me when I was like 8. He was probably 15, 16 at the time. When he realized I liked computers and video games, he introduced me to and gave me Command and Conquer, and later when it came out, Red Alert. He would bring his computer over and we would play multiplayer over a null modem cable. If I won, I got to stay up later for each game I won, past the bedtime my parents set, and if he won I'd have to help him with his chores when he watched me at his house. I learned damn quick how to beat him after he made me wash his parents' cars and do dishes. I stopped going to bed on time and he would have me play on his team to kick his friends' asses. One of the coolest babysitters in this post. That didn't end in molestation. I was so waiting for, and if he won, I would have to suck his peanuts. Similar story. When I was around 16 I used to babysit my 9-year-old autistic next door neighbor that I'll call Zed. One day I'm doing some homework, and Zed is having a particularly hard day. Usually when this happened, I'd bring out his favorite board game, Stratego. We'd play a few rounds and usually by then he'd be okay. However, this day was different. I dump out the pieces and oh it. One of the guys are missing. I spent about 10 minutes trying to shrug it off to him, but he isn't listening. Can't replace it with anything, because that would ruin the point of the game. So as he's starting to really freak out, I notice this really nice chess set his parents have that had probably never been used. I played a bit of chess back in the day and know the rules and tell Zed, "Hey, why don't I teach you a real game?" 8 years later, he's graduated high school, going to college, the only 4-time repeating high school state chess champ ever in our state, and is about to reach the level of international master. I took a job down the street when I was in high school, too young to drive, probably 14, on a school night. I was poor. The parents told me they had one child, to be there at 6, and that they paid generously. Thus into the night, I quickly discovered they had not 1, not 2, but 3 children. What the frick? Anyway, they said they'd be home by 9:30 p.m. Well, 9:30 came and went, and they didn't come home. I waited and waited and waited all night. They finally came home at 3:30 a.m. Mind you, I had school the next day, totally it-faced drunk. They offered to drive me home. I politely declined and ran home. The killer? They only gave me $20. Needless to say, I never sat for them again. You're too long didn't read killed me. How does that even happen? When I was about 12 or 13, I was babysitting for a neighbor. They had a 9-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. I usually played around with the son, as he was just old enough to not feel like I was humoring a little kid. The little sister would just tag along. For some reason, she had a fit that day that I never played with her. I felt bad, as I was kind of ignoring her, and didn't want her to tell her parents that I didn't dole out the play fairly. So I decided to play dolls with her. He brother got mad, and starting having a little fit about it. I rolled my eyes at him, told him he wasn't a baby and could handle me playing with his sister, and went into her room because she wanted to play with a big dollhouse that was in there. I play with her for a couple minutes, then hear the son's footsteps stop in the hall in front of the open door. I turn around, expecting to end up rolling my eyes at him again. He is holding an axe, a little one, Boy Scouts I think, and looks very mad. I reflexively close the door and hold it shut. He starts hacking at the door. I have my back up against it, holding it shut, and keep imagining him hacking all the way through it into my back. I am screaming and crying for him to please stop. I will play with him. I am sorry, please. His parents came home with amazing timing right about then. He runs into his own room, and I run downstairs to them as quickly as I can. Told them what happened, etc. I wonder what happened to him. Was his name Johnny? All work and no play makes this a great reference. One time when I was about 5, my sister and I were staying at our mom's friend's house while our parents went out. While we were asleep on the floor in the living room with her asleep on the couch behind us, her ex-husband, boyfriend came in and strangled her to death. He didn't touch us. Did you sleep through it or did you wake up to see it happening? Was her body discovered by you or when your parents got home? What happened to the boyfriend? Do you have a link to a news article? I'm pretty sure I slept through it because I can't remember anything. One of the last things I remember saying to her is something about not liking the white Kool-Aid pop she tried to give me. I woke up while I was being carried out by my parents. It happened at her house. There were emergency lights everywhere. I didn't really know what was going on. This was back in 1991 to 1992, so I don't know if I can find a link now, but I'll ask my mum about the woman's last name. When I was about 15, my neighbors would hire me to watch their 2-year-old girl. One evening the phone rang and I answered. A woman asked who I was. I said I was the babysitter. She hung up and 10 minutes later, the cops show up. If this happened now, they would probably send the SWAT team, as the grandmother was quite shocked to hear a male voice on the phone, claiming to be the babysitter. I'm lucky I didn't get arrested. Wait, all of that happened just because you were a dude babysitter? What the frick, granny? If someone was in a house that wasn't theirs and up to no good, would they really answer the phone? Nice logic, grandma. Old people love to call 911 for anything. An old lady called 911 the other day. She had taken a nap and didn't know what time it was when she woke up. When I was 12, my mum hired a 13-year-old boy, I'm a girl, to babysit. Had your mother ever met a 13-year-old boy before? Chelsea Clinton, daughter of President Bill Clinton, used to babysit me when her father was governor of Arkansas from 1989 to 1992. I was 13 at the time. I now have dinner with President Clinton occasionally when he comes into town due to the same family connections that enabled Chelsea to babysit me. I once purposely walked into the bathroom when my babysitter, she was like 15, I was 8, had just gotten out of the shower. Totally worth it. I like your style. She was asking for it. Can't very well babysit from the shower, can you? Maybe he covered her in it. You took this in a direction I never would have thought it was going. I have 2 unbelievable, but totally true stories. My babysitter from when I was about 5 hired someone to kill her husband. He actually did it and got caught. The hitman gave her up and she was sentenced to prison. I don't remember any more details than that. A different babysitter from when I was about 8 tortured and killed my cat in front of me. She started by putting on the ceiling fan and turning it on. The cat flew against the wall, but lived. Then she put him in the freezer for about a minute. He lived through that, too. Then she put him in the microwave for 30 seconds. When he lived through that, she decided to put him in an ice chest until he stopped living through all of her it. I hate that itch. Rip Pee-wee. What the hell kind of people did your parents hire to watch you? Man, I have no idea. We were pretty poor and didn't live in the best area if that helps. Lots of rednecks around. When I was 11 or 12 I had a female babysitter 15 who was on the odd side. She was kinda weird, always a little off, looked at things differently. One night we're watching MTV and one of the girly videos was playing and she noticed something growing down there. After some talking I let her see it and touch it. Seems she had never seen a peanut erect and was very curious. Felt weird, but good. Next visit she bragged over a movie, a peen she swiped from her parents. Long story short we tried everything in the movie. Thanks to my parents' fondness for drinking on Saturday night and Friday night, the babysitter's willingness to watch me, and some batted hormones I had sex with her like 10,000 times or so over the next month. Yeah, literally as soon as my parents pulled out of the driveway we would start. Oh yeah, and neither one of us knew it about condoms. Then one night my parents literally barge in the door half drunk and I'm balls deep in Heather on the couch. Got real after that. Her parents came over, questioned us about how many times, who initiated it, and if I came in her. Our answers horrified them to the core. They left and I never saw her again. My mum called her mum a week later to see if she was pregnant. No. That was a tough year punishment wise for me. Years later I would learn that my father bragged about the whole incident to his buddies with great pride. One guy even shoved a beer in my hand at a cookout when I was 15 stating I was a man among men. That's my boy. Dad. Ahem mom. Go to your room. Tell your mum I took away your Xbox. Dad. But I don't have an Xbox. Me. You do now, Dad. Isn't that from the movie, Sky High? Yes. Yes it is. Good catch. That was a good freaking movie. Okay Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will order 10 pizzas to your home now.